Hi, I'm Mark Sipp from Crocker Farm Auction, and I'm here to talk today about Alexandria, Virginia stoneware. Rarely do we have this many pieces on hand at one point, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to show you all just kind of how things changed and spread through the area. This first crock here, as you can see, is stamped J. Swan Alexa for John Swan of Alexandria, Virginia. It has a design that Swan started, although it's a particularly rare design. This is actually one of the nicest examples of Swan to really ever surface. I mean, it's got incredible color, and the decoration is a little more elaborate than most Swan pieces you find, let alone a lot of them you find aren't even decorated. So you can see here it's got this what they call an Alexandria kind of sunflower design, a circle surrounding the maker's mark with little leaflets or floral sprigs extending off the side. The back, you can see, has the one leaf, a single leaf or flower. And this is kind of right around 1820 when Swan was just starting to decorate. He was producing undecorated stoneware and rust-dipped stoneware prior to this time, and he was really trying to compete with the Baltimore market by making nice blue decorated stoneware with this piece. As you can see, things changed, and at the Wilk Street Pottery you had Swan making things for Hugh Smith and his son Hugh Charles Smith, and that's the mark on this piece, H. Smith and Company. They were merchants, local merchants that sold china, queensware, stoneware, all sorts of things. And Swan was making things later on, sometime around 1825 to 1830, for Hugh Smith and his son. And you can see here the same design, although it's a little more elaborate this time. And these things trail down here, which is a little bit unusual, even for the H. Smith and Company mark. You can see the typical circle surrounding the maker's mark as well. This piece is undecorated on the back, and as things moved on, as you'll see later on, that the back became more profusely decorated in Alexandria. Another interesting feature of this is it has an M on the bottom, which is possibly the potter Benedict C. Milburn, who was apprenticed to Swan and would eventually own the Wilk Street Pottery. This piece, you can see the front is really nicely decorated. It's H.C. Smith, Alexandria, D.C. is the mark. That mark was used sometime in the early 1830s. Through about 1840. This is one of the earlier examples of H.C. Smith stoneware. Now, this is Hugh Smith's son, Hugh Charles Smith. You can sort of tell because just the way the design's done, the thinness of it and the style of it are really from that period more closely related to H. Smith and Company rather than later marks that you see. Typical of all these pieces made during this period is the rolled rim, and of course we have the ovoid form and the tab-like handles. You can see this design. This is kind of unusual for Alexandria, and it's probably inspired by Baltimore decorations by the Parr family on these heavy tulips with wings design around here. The back, though, you can see is starting to become more heavily decorated, and we have this drape design and more of these leaves on the back, kind of like this one, but a lot more elaborate. The designs in Alexandria would eventually spread to Washington, D.C. And this is the mark of John Walker. I don't know if you can see this clearly because it's a very tiny mark. Can you get that, Luke? Okay. Walker potted sometime around 1834 at 8th and I Streets in Washington, D.C. He was associated with Richard Butt, who was a pottery owner there, and we aren't sure if he just made things for Butt or if he was actually a pottery owner there. But you can see how this design, this classic Alexandria sunflower design, spread to nearby Washington, D.C. because it's virtually the same design. So either decorators or just moved there, or just potters saw it and sought to really compete with the Alexandria market, so they did that same design surrounding the maker's mark. And another interesting aspect of John Walker stoneware is the fact that these little sprigs on the back, a lot of times they continued under the handle. Several times I've seen a Walker crock, whereas you have Smith crocks they'll just have them going along the back right here. You'll see a walker crock, and for whatever reason they continue it under the handle. And I don't know what the significance of that is, but it just has something to do with the individual decorator. Another thing interesting about Walker stoneware is you have these really high set handles. And the bulbousness of the jar, the ovoid form, tends to be really high set. It tends to be more on the shoulder of the pot. You can see how it kind of bulges out here at the top and tapers down to a nice base. The Smith and Wilk Street pottery by Swan and Milburn, when they're ovoid, are more egg-shaped. The ovoid form kind of bellies out right at the center. Now, into the 1840s and 1850s, you have B.C. Milburn owning the pottery in Alexandria on Wilk Street. And he got into some of the most elaborate designs you'll find on Alexandria stoneware. This was sort of the height of decoration. He did a lot of slip trail designs with a funnel-like tool, almost like cake decorating. And he did a lot of nice brush designs. And this is an example of a really good floral design by Milburn. You can see here his most common mark, B.C. Milburn Alexa. On the back, though, you have the typical sunflower design. So we have I don't know, maybe a 30-year gap between this piece and this piece, which is a pretty long time, and yet you still have that same standard design being used. The clay during Milburn's period sometimes tended to be a little browner than the earlier light grays of Swan and Smith crocks. You can see both these crocks, the Walker and the Milburn, as you go on, you're moving also towards squared rims. And of course the Milburn here, we have these huge lug handles, which the latest works in Alexandria, they had lost that little ear, little tab handled form, and you have these big lugs, often extruded with this ribbing. So anyway, I thought that was a good primer on the Alexandria sunflower design and how it sort of changed through the years and stayed the same in a lot of ways, and I hope you enjoyed it.